2015 may well be the last time that the Douglas Horse Trams run on their double track along the promenade. Proposed roadworks on the prom mean the tram tracks will be lifted and probably moved to the nearby walkway. The horse trams have been an iconic part of Manx life since they started in 1876. It was Thomas Lightfoot, a Lancashire contractor and railway engineer, who had retired to the Isle of Man the previous year with his wife and most of his 13 children, that financed and built the horse tramway. Settling in on the seafront, he'd only been here a few months when the beautiful curve of Douglas Bay proved irresistible. He had to build one last tramway. Tynwald quickly passed the necessary legislation, and by the end of 1876 the horses and trams were clattering up and down the promenade to huge popular acclaim. In those days, before electricity or the petrol engine, everything was horse-drawn. And although the island did modernise when things moved on, somehow the horse trams survived, and now they are one of only 2 systems left in the world. Over the years, they've carried hundreds of thousands of happy tourists along the prom, and their image has been used on everything from postcards to fridge magnets and most things in between. The team that make it all possible are based in the stables at the bottom of Summer Hill. And here they are. Rocky, Teddy, Ian and their mates are out every day throughout the summer offering a service that's famous across the world. The staff at the stables lovingly tend to the horses, and here they're fed and watered and shampooed and showered every day. What they really want, though, is to be out on the road. Each day they'll do 2 return journeys along the seafront before returning to the stables. The horses have an amazing ability to cope with traffic, much better than many humans do. They never seem fazed by the buses, the motorbikes, and the sometimes bizarre driving you can see on the prom. They've appeared in countless films and documentaries, and have always been one of the selling points for Douglas and the island, and every tourist film has featured them.
That we meet a famous Douglas character, an old-fashioned, straightforward, honest horse, one of the 80 who provide the horsepower for the world-famous tram ride along the promenade, trundling at a gentle trot through the busy traffic and gay crowds. The horse trams are the delight of tourists, and the way in which modern traffic flows along with them is itself an illustration of the variety of the Isle of Man. For the Manx discovered how to marry the old with the new and provide holiday harmony.
In the days when hundreds of thousands of tourists came to the island each year, there could be more than 12 trams operating at any one time, and they were almost queuing up to let their passengers off, as you can see from this extraordinary footage taken in 1920, when Manx tourism was at its peak. As a boy living in a promenade hotel, I always knew that the sound of horses' hooves each spring meant that the holiday season had started again, and all was well with the world. The sound of the conductor's whistle was also an indication that the trams were about, and the horses reacted to the whistles, but not always the official one. The late Alfie Gilmore, who lived in Douglas all his life, recalled how a parrot got in on the act back in the 1930s.
There was another parrot on the promenade. It was near the Crescent Hotel. And when the people in the summertime, they always put this parrot out on the steps, on a prop on the steps, and he could whistle exactly like the tramcar conductor, and the horse would stop. And then he would whistle a second time and the horse would start. And they were playing hell about this. We decided that after all, may as well make it a stop there, because it is a stop further, about 10 or 15 yards further on. Yeah. So we let the parrot do the commanding, stopping and starting the horse car.
Happy days. Although they were started by private enterprise, in 1902 they were taken over by Douglas Corporation, who still operate them. And they've run every year since they started, except for the 6 years of the Second World War. During that time, the island, and Douglas in particular, sprouted miles of barbed wire fencing, as internment camps were set up to imprison enemy aliens. On Douglas Promenade, the fences ran down between the tram tracks, making a service impossible. When the war was over and the fences removed, the holes where the posts had stood were patched with tarmac, and those very squares are still visible today. Soon, though, work may start on resurfacing the promenade, and when it's all finished, it's expected the horse trams will be in a new location. But the important thing is that they keep running. It's nearly 140 years since they started, and the clip-clop of horses' hooves along Douglas Promenade has long been an important part of a Manx summer.